The bridge that connects Greater Rockford and Mellor is based off the 4th bridge in Scotland. Pressing T while piloting an Airbus Beluga changes the number displayed on the nose and tail. When that number gets to 6, it displays some text on the aircraft. The Antonov AN-225 has the largest wingspan in the game, coming in at 88.5 meters. Planes used to be collidable with each other, which was really bad. When under some roofs, rain won't pass through. All the Joff doesn't have poppy lights, which is pretty unusual for its size. This building near the Greater Rockford Airport is based off the Concord Conference Center in England. The least earned badge is the 200 Missions badge, only awarded to 270 people. The most earned badge is the Stunt Pilot 2, where you have to fly a plane through a wind turbine. Baltic Airfield has the highest spawn point at 1,243 feet. The tutorial in the menu shows pictures of old Greater Rockford and the old 737. There are lines of cones near road bases for planes to land at. Greater Rockford has the most amount of vehicle spawns, coming into 29 of them. Gate 11 at Greater Rockford is the only dual gate in the game, meaning that it's the only gate in the game that serves 2 floors. Some airports don't have a proper entrance, like Larnaca or Islarani. The Tokyo area strongly resembles the San Francisco Bay Area. Southampton is the only permanently snowy island in the game. If you put a fuel truck into an AN-225, it's possible to infinitely refuel planes without enabling infinite fuel. When you spawn in the game at first, you are on a platform 50,000 feet in the air above Greater Rockford. McConnell Air Force Base and Mellor both have entrance gates that open and close. The 777 passenger variant is the -300 version, while the cargo version is the -200. Orenji is a romanized spelling of the Japanese word orenchi, which translates to orange. The fastest free aircraft in the game is the F-15E at 1,692 knots. The fastest public aircraft in the game is the Walrus, coming in at 5,000 knots. The fastest aircraft in the game overall is the Staff 747, obviously only available to staff, coming in at 20,000 knots. The Air Dingus ATR-72 livery accidentally had fire and smoke. This is because it's the first passenger aircraft alphabetically, so developers would usually click this aircraft while first testing. The Presidential Game Pass grants you access to 5 different aircraft. The server age is shown at the bottom of the menu. You can only get a call sign number from 1,000 to 9,999. As long as you stay in the game, you keep the first call sign you get, no matter how much planes you spawn. But when you leave, it resets and gives you a different one. At most airports, there are clothing shops that you can look around in. The fastest non-Concorde airliner is the A380, coming in at 566 knots. You can spawn at 8 different locations at Greater Rockford. There is an eyeless annoying orange in the cockpit of the Concorde. There is a map edge where the water stops. There are multiple statues around the map. There is a fire training aircraft at Greater Rockford, which I think is a Boeing 747 SP. Most houses in the game are uncollidable. The slowest airliner in the game is the ATR-72, coming in at only 276 knots. You can open and close hangars. They also have animations. Tokyo's Runway 13 resembles Kai-Tak, and it even has the proper approach checkerboards. There are 2 pyramids at the desert near Al-Najaf. The 737 has the most liveries in the game, coming in at 32. The Presidential Game Pass is the most expensive one. It costs about 245 Robux. The Outfit Picker Game Pass is the least expensive one. It costs only 15 Robux. Hence the name of the King Air 260, its top speed is in fact 260 knots. Near the Islarani airport, you can find a bunch of random tree stumps. There is an old man named Derek that you can talk to by the long bridge near the middle of the Greater Rockford Island. He will direct you to his farm. His farm is the northeasternmost island in the Greater Rockford Archipelago, and once you get to his farm, you can fly his plane called the Derek's Creation. The Derek's Creation is the smallest plane in PTFS. When idle, the Concorde shakes a little. Under the USS Carrier, there is a neon pink block, primarily there to help with lighting. You can swim under the HMS Carrier due to the blocks under there being uncollidable. Only 3 islands have road bases: Greater Rockford, Islarani, and Orenji. The 787 is the most fuel-efficient aircraft in the game. It takes the 787 around 20 minutes to run out of fuel. When cruising, some aircraft point a little upwards. Henstridge Airport's runway only has one side, which is marked. You can find a mummy inside a pyramid near Al-Najaf. Some aircraft have animations. For example, the doors of the private 787, the King Air 260, the Airbus Beluga, and there's so much more. Ukla's runway is at a high downward slope. The houses at Lukla are collidable. There is a picture of IRL Lukla inside the terminal. Greater Rockford International has the most amount of aircraft spawners, at a total of 23. Using headwind, you can fly backwards if you use the Wright Brothers plane because it's so slow. There is a hidden plane near the Tokyo airport called the Carponi Stipa. Due to new player confusion, you are now able to spawn large aircraft at gates 5 and 7 at Tokyo. Also due to new player confusion, gate 6 at Tokyo is now abandoned, but you can still see the markings. Weather, like rainstorms, plays sounds. If you click the walrus, it plays a goofy sound. All PTFS liveries are slightly wrong due to copyright infringement. You can enable lights with the Airbus H135 police livery. You are able to stand on the wings of a moving aircraft. Jumping in a plane mid-air thrusts you forward. Tokyo Airport has the most amount of cargo gates at a total of 5. Baltic Airfield is based off a real place called Mountain Air, where rich people fly their planes in to play golf and hang out. Baltic Airfield and Lukla Airport are the only 2 airports near or on top of a mountain. You can't see the Islarani and Perth stadiums from the menu. Some wind turbines don't rotate, while most others do. There are 4 North American based airports in the game: Baltic Airfield, Saba, St. Bartholomew, and Meccano Air Force Base. A cute mini orange can be seen near some vehicle spawners. Just like in real life, the beachy side of St. Bart's Runway isn't meant for landing, but the hilly side is. The game's description states that there are 92 aircraft available, but if you count, there are 102. You can find pancakes on the back of the fuel tank at Greater Rockford International. There is a game called Aircraft Development in the Pilot Training Club that you can play on to check in on recent projects. In the Aircraft Development game, things are scaled down by half. Also in the Aircraft Development game, you are able to complete an obby for a chair. Again, also in the Aircraft Development game, there's a soccer field where you can kick a soccer ball around. In Greater Rockford, there's a stadium where you can kick a soccer ball around. Most engines are actually spinning images. Across the map, there are 4 stadiums, 2 of which are on Greater Rockford Island. Inside the training center, there is a Cessna 172 flight simulator. Also at the training center, there is a Cessna 172 livery that's only spawnable here. Walruses are treated like amphibious aircraft. It can land and take off on water and won't sink. There is a total of 8 lighthouses in the game. Out of the 8 lighthouses, only 1 has a function, the one in Grindavik. At that one lighthouse, you can talk to an old man, and if the right things are clicked, he will provide you with a code, which is 1863562. There's a portal at the end of Grindavik, and when entered, a door will ask for the code. Once the code is entered, you will receive a badge after walking up to the monster called Sir Crimson Claw. There are a total of 45 badges in the game. The A380 has the longest wingspan for an airliner, coming in at 79.75 meters. You can retract the ladder inside the AN225 by clicking the top of it. It's impossible to swim underwater, no matter how much you point your character down. The largest hangar is located at Meccano Air Force Base, and it can even fit the Antonov AN225. The specific taxiway RAF Scranton was extended by a bit to accommodate the C-17 and other big military aircraft. Airbase Gary is based off the Antonio Batista Air Base in the Philippines, hence the flag. There's a fallen tree near the far side of the Airbase Gary. The longest runway in the game is Tokyo's runway 13 or 31 at 1,478 meters. The longest runway where you can spawn an aircraft at is Saba, coming in a mere 229 meters. The shortest runway overall is the abandoned airfield, coming in at 168 meters. You can spawn a UFO at the abandoned airfield, and the place resembles Area 51. Tokyo is the only airport not to have a separate ground crew building, as it's lodged under what used to be Gate 6. Bridge tarmacs and runway extensions are only at one place, which again is the Tokyo airport. There is ice at Southampton that your avatar and even planes can slip on. The nighttime stars twinkle. The Red Arrows display team resides at RAF Scampton. During the nighttime, buildings light up. Inside the Cessna 172, it says Eggy near the top. At the Isolani Mountain, there is a cave entrance that leads into a secret lab. You can cause disasters with your plane by going into the failures option and choosing a failure. All Grand Crew vehicles each have unique license plates. There are 407 different missions in the game. The Really Advanced World Tour is the longest mission. It has 82 checkpoints and requires you to fly around the map a couple of times. Touch and Go is the shortest mission. It only has 5 checkpoints and takes very little time to complete. All the ground vehicles are unable to float in water. Fire trucks can put out engine fires. Before the Greater Rockford remodel, the highest point used to be at Cyprus, with a height of around 1,910 feet. After the Greater Rockford remodel, the highest point in the game is now on the Greater Rockford Mountain at almost 3,000 feet. The poles under Tokyo's runway 2 are uncollidable, meaning that you can fly a plane under there without actually bumping into anything. Near Airbase Gary, there is an ice cream shop run by a pink horse. In Slovenian, the term Izlarani means isolated, which makes sense because the airport is very far away from the city. The abandoned airfield is the only major place that you can't spawn at. The radar doesn't detect planes that are under 100 feet in altitude. On the oil rig, there's a secret Among Us image. Rain stops at an altitude over 8,500 feet. Smoke trails start at an altitude of over 2,400 feet. There are only two places where you can spawn one aircraft at: the training center and the abandoned airfield. There is a crashed UFO near the top of the Greater Rockford Mountain. Before the start of Lukeless Runway, there is a crashed caravan. There are two ski resorts in the game, one at Grindavik and the other at Southamptona. At the Southamptona ski resort, there is a skier stuck in the snow. You can find random Roblox ad boards around the map. Under the Greater Rockford terminal, there is a random number 6 stuck in there. The bottom of the crashed UFO is visible from the inside of the mountain at Greater Rockford. The walrus is so fast that if you suddenly turn, a drifting effect will take place. The body of water in the middle of the Greater Rockford Island has a slightly higher elevation than the standard ocean elevation. The island with the least amount of houses is Skopelos, with only 22. Beara and Skopelos are the only airports where the runways are unmarked. Beara Airport actually has the most amount of runways in the game, according to its IRL runway diagram, coming in at 4 runways. Grindavik and Southamptona are the only places where you can find pine trees. At the HMS Carrier, there is an inaccessible room near the ATC tower. McConnell Air Force Base has a picture of Cypress Island rotated to a 90-degree angle. After the Perth remodel, runway 33 got extended by a tiny bit. There are only 3 airports in the game which have parallel runways: Greater Rockford, McConnell, and Beara. Perth is the only major airport where the runways intersect. The island near the bridge at Orenji strongly resembles the infamous Alcatraz prison in San Francisco. Runway 9 left and 29 right at McConnell Air Force Base seems to be the widest runway in the game. You can find a picture of John Cena near Gate 9 at Tokyo. Trees at Orenji and a few more islands have a usual ellipse shape. To access free cam, you need to buy the ATC Game Pass for 65 Robux. The McConnell Air Force Base has the most amount of hangars. Free cam doesn't really work while sitting on planes, as the camera is still centered on you. With free cam, you can unload parts of the map if you fly your character away far enough. You could set the speed of free cam using arrow keys. Behind 2 backboards at these 2 basketball courts, you can find the "Ladies Are You Alright" meme. Some cars are images, but some are actual blocks that are uncollidable. The Piper PA-28 is so outdated that the whole cockpit is just one blurry image. The Twin Otter is the only plane with an overhead panel. Delivery of a passenger plane determines if the aircraft would have winglets or not. The USS Carrier has actual aircraft launchers that you can attach your plane to. Those same aircraft launchers play sounds. The Airbus A380 has the most seats, coming in at a total of 157. Using pushback tugs, you can fly almost every single plane inside the AN225. On the vertical stabilizer of the Concorde, a part near the middle sticks out. If you are an owner of a private server, you have the option to kick, ban, or spectate people. Other perks of owning a private server also include changing the weather, aircraft despawn time, and the general time. The road in the middle of the Tokyo Bridge is gray, compared to the rest of the road, which is black. When a door is open on an aircraft, you will be unable to move the plane. Even with free cam, looking underwater will be blurry. You can visit Santa at his own house at Grindavik. There are names on the back of the tail of the Avro Vulcan, which are the people who have donated to the Victory for Vulcan campaign. Ground vehicles have autoflip, meaning if they end up upside down for some reason, the game will automatically flip it right back up. All hospitals at Greater Rockford have helipads on top of them. Hospital signs were changed to the color green because of a political reason. If you hold the binoculars while going into free cam, your avatar will disappear. When an aircraft is in cruise mode, the plane stays stationary no matter if you get out or not. Greater Rockford Airport is based off of Manchester Airport in England. Mellor Airport is based off of Bristol, also in England. Islarani Airport is based off of Auckland in New Zealand. Tokyo Orenji Airport is based off of Terminal 2 of Tokyo Haneda in Japan. Southamptona Airport is based off of Southampton in England, hence the name being a bit similar. McConnell Air Force Base is based off of the McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas. The same statue near the St. Bartholomew Airport is inside of the Paphos terminal. With Al Najaf being an airfield in the game, it still has a proper terminal with a departure board and a check-in desk. The dam near St. Bartholomew is one of the only places where you can stand on water. With legacy handling, stalling won't point the nose down. Engine flames on aircraft are visible once at 61% throttle or more. You can find a seal on a dock at Greater Rockford. You can find a seagull on top of the cell tower near Greater Rockford Airport. Lights turn off at 5 AM and come back at 6 PM. The military parachute restricts movement when you're in the air. All runways in the game used to be really thin, but this soon changed because aircraft started getting larger. The slowest plane in the game is currently the Wright brothers plane. It only goes 25 knots. When you look under the water above the dam near St. Bartholomew, it isn't blurry. The Greater Rockford Island has the most available badges to obtain, which comes to a total of 21 badges. There are some planes that have 5 flap levels, for example, the 727 or the 737. When walking on parts of the Avro Vulcan, you will be walking on some invisible blocks. For some reason, the outer left wheel of the 737 is blue. You can find Samusage TFE in a house in the remote parts of Greater Rockford. At Baltic Airfield, you can find a pool with beach balls and chairs. Years ago, invisible trusses were attached to the side of the aircraft for access, but in April of 2020, this was removed because a lot of people complained about it. The Blimp Game Pass is the cheapest game pass that grants an aircraft. It's only 35 Robux and grants a few different blimps. The A330 is confirmed as one of the easiest planes to butter due to its gear tilt. The Q400 is confirmed as one of the hardest planes to butter due to its unusual shape and how outdated it is. Mellor was the first airport that the YouTuber Aaron Ryan spawned at. The run tool was originally going to be a game pass. Ground vehicles stay in place while in AN225. The player with the most amount of flight time is Connor Coves, with 912,000 minutes, which equates to about 635 days. The cliffs near Airbase Gary resemble the cliffs of Dover. The 777 cockpit has a diagram of Greater Rockford Airport. The 787 cockpit has a diagram of a random airport, which I thought was Toronto, but it isn't. At a port of Grindavik, you can find a two-headed monster behind one of the cargo boxes. Looking at the map from the menu, you can see that most of the land is made primarily from triangles and squares. Cyprus has the same shape IRL, but flipped upside down. This was probably done to get Lanarka closer to all other airports. On the back of the Air Canada A220, you could see the text, "Wes was here." This is because this is his favorite plane. Ground vehicles abruptly stop when you jump out. At the top of the screen, there is a 1-pixel button that you can click but doesn't serve a purpose at all and doesn't do anything. At Saba Airport, you can find a flag of Saba and the Netherlands. You used to only be able to spawn fire trucks at Saba, but now you can spawn fuel trucks and pickups. You can enable instant loading in the menu to load faster. Out of all the aircraft in the game, around 23 of them cost money to fly. Paphos' main taxiway literally has the word taxiway on it. Helicopters have infinite fuel. They don't even have a fuel bar at the top. The A380 is the only public passenger plane with a bar at the back. There is an invisible block that you can walk on at the USS Carrier. Waterloo and Sea Haven have no fuel tanks. The A380 is the only airliner that costs Robux to fly. The flying mechanism of blimps are very similar to helicopters. There is a random walkway through this random building at Greater Rockford Island near Mellor. Inside the Greater Rockford Space Observatory, there is a random desk with a paper and a radio. Around the map, you can find many random name mentions. You can stay AFK inside an aircraft at a high altitude, and you will still be awarded flight minutes. The St. Bartholomew terminal doesn't have departure boards. There's a statue of Coder Cordy near Lanarka. Islorani and Cyprus have unusually tall trees. There are a total of 20 icebergs surrounding Southamptona. Near the back of Southamptona, you can find an angry polar bear. You can also find many castle ruins across the map. You are unable to drive ground vehicles in an AN225 while the nose is opening. At Southamptona, there is a small island with absolutely nothing but snow on it. At Skopelos, you can find a cave where something weird is going on. The wind and wind directions are listed on computers at ATC towers. You can't jump off of ATC towers that let you go outside the top. For example, Airbase Gary. The 747 has 5 different variants: passenger, cargo, space shuttle, air force, and dreamlifter. There is a crashed fighter at the top of the Cypress Mountain. You can enlarge the minimap, and you can also zoom into it. The longest runway out of the 3 at Greater Rockford is runway 7 right, coming in at 1,196 meters. You can tamper with the height of the catering and the stair truck. The Boeing PA Poseidon is a mix of the 737's body and the 787's wings. The thinnest runway in the game is at Henstridge Airfield. The F-22 was the first game pass to be added to PTFS. The racetrack at Greater Rockford is based off of the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. Some game passes aren't listed because PTFS has reached its maximum amount of game passes allowed. PTFS has many inactive badges, at around 39. According to the inactive badges, all airports in the game had different names a decade ago. Some aircraft, like the B-1 Lancer, can shoot out flares when you press K. The highest speed of crosswind in PTFS is only 18 knots. The farther you get away from the origin of the map, the more glitchy everything becomes. This can be seen in every Roblox game. You can't swim under the USS Carrier, no matter how hard you try. You can place down only 20 cones at a time before the ones behind start to disappear. On some aircraft, you can increase and decrease the angle of the wings. Smoke trails will continue to run back even when you're in cruise mode. When retracted, The gears of the Hawk Siddeley Harrier don't disappear like normal aircraft. You can't place cones on uneven surfaces. Windsocks aren't even connected to the sticks that hold them up. The PTFS wiki has a lot of information, and to help me gather most of the facts I've provided